Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hello there, me. Hello there, and welcome to the program. I think we're going to get interrupted by one of them fire alarms, so just giving you advance warning and reminding myself of that. Also, it's Tuesday, even though it feels like Monday, and that means my sister Susan is joining us from Chicago. Hi, Suze.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
You remembered me.
I did. Why, did I forget you last time?
Well, no, occasionally you do, but no, you didn't forget me last time.
Wait a minute. We can't. Your audio's got to get up. Hang on. So we both sound.
Can you hear me?
No, it's on our end, I think. You're hearing that sort of buzzing thing. Okay, I'm more concerned about hearing Susan, though. Suze, say something. Okay, you're good.
Hi, did you see the new Nike ad?
Yeah, sure. Did you see all the Nikes burning all over the place?
No, you're kidding.
Are you kidding?
That ad made me cry.
Yeah, but people are burning Nikes left and right. And someone just said on Twitter, yeah, Trump supporters are burning Nikes because they don't have any books. It's pretty good. Okay, but wait, before we get to Colin Kaepernick, when I was driving in, I was listening to CNN, and the Kavanaugh hearings started, and oh my God.
No, they're screaming their heads off.
It's chaos.
I mean, quite literally, there was a woman that they just dragged out screaming her head off.
They had to have, I was just listening to it. They had to have dragged out a number of women, a lot of screaming women, a lot of screaming Democrats. When I left the car, they still hadn't been able to start the hearing because the Democrats were insisting on all kinds of things, and also possibly taking up their motion to adjourn since they didn't have any opportunity to deal with these documents that got dumped on them last night.
The chair, said, we read every 42,000 pages of documents. You should have been able to, too. And I'm going, really? How many people did you have there?
So Grassley's saying that the Republicans managed to read 42,000 pages.
Could do it, so could you.
Last night.
And he keeps saying things like, this is what we're going to hear all through this. He is absolutely not listening to a thing they have to say, but it's not stopping them from one after the other.
I know.
Making these legal and passionate and clear, requests. And I have to say, I think that anybody that's paying attention, I don't think this is going to inure to their benefit. Yeah.
I mean, define.
Well, I'm just saying.
Wait.
My ear right now.
Okay, hang on. But okay, wait a minute. All right. Why doesn't it seem? It doesn't seem quite as loud today, or that's not true. Thank you. Goodbye. Okay, Susan. Okay. So you're saying it doesn't. You're thinking that the show of solidarity and defiance that the Democrats are putting on in these early minutes of the hearing, you're saying will not benefit?
Will come to naught, but that will not be in the end to the benefit of the Republicans.
I don't know. As I was listening to the screaming and I was thinking, most Americans. Oh, come on. I say two more. There's going to be two more. Let's bet. That's one. And here's the final one. Oh, All right. I say one more. That's it. That's it. Yes. Jesus.
That's like counting to 10 at the red light, trying to make the green go.
Oh, man. I was saying that I think Americans who don't pay as much attention to what's happening as me and you just see this screaming and yelling, and they just throw up their hands and say they hate everybody. They think both parties are terrible. They think Congress is awful, but they can't tell one side from the other in its horribleness. Do you know what I mean? I think that's unfortunately I'm
sure you're correct about that, but I'm just saying that to those people who actually are listening to the two sides' response,
yes,
you know, to the
right.
the debate that is currently unfolding in front of us. To anybody that can add one and one, there's a clear side that is speaking the truth and a clear side that is just flat out, in the now tradition of Republicans, lying.
Right. Just flat out lying. Oh, dear.
And I can't tell you how sick I am of this normalization of lying.
Yeah.
Just standing up there, and I have to say, I think Billy Clinton started it, or maybe it was Richard Nixon. I don't know. But this just standing up in front of the American people and bald-faced lying.
First of all, yeah.
Where I'm sickened by it. I'm literally sickened by it.
Yeah. I want to commend you on your use of the term bald-faced as opposed to bold-faced, which I think most people say, believe it or not. Because
it means in stark relief.
But why is it bald-faced?
I don't know. There's nothing covering it.
Here's the other one they get wrong. A horse chomping at the bit or champing at the bit.
I always say chomping.
I do too, but all of a sudden,
the horse is biting the bit to get going.
But no, all of a sudden, I thought, I'm not sure which one is right. I've always known, but wait a minute, it's chomping at the bit.
Has to be.
No, it doesn't have to be, but I think it is. But I think most people, I don't know why I'm getting off on that. I'm trying to.
It's easier. It's a reflex. I mean, we deflect to grammar. Other people deflect to lies.
Well, I don't know, but it's just something to say. And while we're doing that, let me just get one out of the way, and then we got to I want to go backpedal a little bit and go to the two funerals this weekend. But the use of the word, where the hell did this come from? The use of the word curate. To organize, to do anything. Right. It seems like everything is curated now. I mean,
right.
So and so, this will be full, and especially when people are trying to say, make something seem better, and this will
right. Like your boutique has a curated collection, as opposed to you're a buyer and you bought this stuff and you'd like to sell it.
Or we will curate. This is curated. It's one of these absolute bullshit, meaningless words that is. I mean, I guess some marketer, some PR person started to use it, making things sound more, I don't know, carefully done or official or something.
High class and exclusive.
High class and exclusive. Thank you. That was it. And now I can't. It's one of the things that's starting to drive me nuts. You never heard that verb before, what, 2-3 years ago? When did this start? It was just
well, in the art world, you might have heard it because that's where
you
do it.
Yeah, you curate an exhibit, right, where you decide what art will make it into the exhibit. That's why people are called curators, I believe, or curator. I think it's curator. And there are even positions at museums called the curator or curator. Someone can look at it.
And they decide. They are simply the thumbs up or thumbs down to what gets into a collection.
Exactly. So how come
and
now?
Theoretically, it's based on their exquisite knowledge of the subject matter.
Right. So I just want to say, now, just so I'm not alone, every time you now see the word curated, you can get annoyed. God.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's do this.
I'm losing the battle on the proper use of the word I as well. I mean, everybody.
What do you mean, the proper use of the word I?
As in I versus me. People do not understand that me is the objective form of I.
So in other words,
everything is you and I, when sometimes it's you and me.
That's true.
Because everybody thinks I sounds classier.
Well, they know that me can be problematic at times, and they were always told, no, that's I. And so now, right, they use I where they should be using me.
And they're always wrong.
Well, it's like when they say between you and I. That's wrong.
Right.
And it is me is wrong. You know, I don't blame people for not getting that right. Seriously.
Look, that one doesn't particularly bother me. It's not knowing when to use I and me after for and. You know, and it's not understanding when it's an object or a subject, and it just sort of irritates me.
Yeah, right. Well, that's why Trump got elected, Susan.
Because it depicts heirs. You know, that's what I mean. I'm just thinking, you know, who are you trying to be so snobby and sound so correct? And you're wrong. You just sound ignorant. Cut it out.
I know, but I'm saying you now, and I too, and me too.
No, you're about to make it the subject of something.
I
you
too.
And I now will.
Right. You and
blah, blah,
I
blah, blah, blah.
now are exhibiting the kind of snobby elitism that got Trump elected. I just want to say.
Well, I'm sorry. I just am from the generation that grew up with actual grammar taught in school. And, you know, we've had this conversation.
Right.
We diagram sentences. You know, we both liked it.
Right. I loved it. You know what, Susan? We are wrong. I thought so. It is champing at the bit. People say
the champion, they're part of the team.
I don't know. Champing at the bit is the correct term. Thank you, Kurt. And I think I knew that, but for some reason, all of a sudden, chomping did seem more reasonable. It is not chomping. It's champing at the bit.
Okay, thank you. I learned something.
So there you go. All right. Enough. Thank you. Champing at the bit. Not that it'll make a damn bit of difference. I just want you all to take a moment or two to curate the verbs you're using. All right, so the funerals. I pretty much watched. I was joking on Friday upon reading who was going to be appearing at Aretha Franklin's funeral. I can't remember what I predicted, but I think I said it would be 5 hours, 4 or 5. Did I say just 4?
Yeah, I tried to record it just so that I could catch everything, and I finally had to give up.
Yeah. So I think I said, maybe 4 is what I said. How silly of me. It went over 8 hours. And I got to tell you, that's too long.
Well, and in 8 hours, all that happened is that a bunch of black pastors got in trouble.
Yeah, right. It seems like the fallout is everybody's mad at
you
these
gave them too long to hang themselves.
Yeah. So one pastor got in trouble for, and I'm sure he didn't mean it, but he grabbed, he
felt up Adriana.
Well, he wasn't. No, but he wasn't. He was just pulling her to him, and she's this tiny little thing, and that's where his hand went.
His hand got there on. Yeah,
I don't think
so too.
Yes, thank you. What he did to her that I thought was not very welcoming is he was very condescending to her, like, "Oh, you little thing." I mean, that was nice that you tried to do that. And I didn't even know who you were, Ariana Grande. When I heard your name, I thought it was a new something at Taco Bell. Now that's totally.
Terrible.
She had just sung. Did she just sing Respect? No, I can't. No, did she do Respect?
Something.
Well, but if it had been Respect, that would have been particularly wondrous.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
But it was another one that it was.
Okay.
I enjoyed, however, watching Bill Clinton watching all the women from behind.
Well, a lot of people were saying that, and, we just assume. I don't know. He's such an old goat.
You mean, well, if more than one of us thought that we saw him appreciatively ogling behinds, it's probably true.
Well, what happened is the aforementioned Ariana Grande wore a extraordinarily short dress for a funeral, I thought. Mm-hmm. But then I don't think anyone knows how to dress anymore. Even Meghan McCain, I thought her dress with that back cut almost to her waist was a little odd for a funeral too. Yeah,
well, it's the housewives effect that people actually think you wear ball gowns and cocktail dresses in public.
Yeah. Also, Laura is saying she thought she saw Clinton sleeping. I think he got sick of, he knew he was on camera because he was seated right behind everyone who was performing. But I think at some point he thought, oh, geez, I can't pretend that I'm enthralled he couldn't do it. And then he abandoned ship after he
just got up and moved, right.
Yeah. And, geez, Jesse Jackson is not in good shape.
He did what every good kid learned in school. You take a bathroom break and you don't come back.
Right. Well, just sort of disappear. Anyway, whatever. It was too long. God.
And then breaking today, the family has said that they are upset about the actual eulogy, in which the guys saw fit to chastise
single mothers. Single mothers, of which she was,
sons, and and everything. When it didn't mention, that was describing Aretha and.
Well, amazingly, here's a guy eulogizing supposedly Aretha Franklin, who gets up and starts screaming, a political agenda about the black family in crisis and no men around, and black women, as amazing as they are, he said, cannot raise single by themselves black boys into manhood. And he said that with her,
with her sons.
Yes.
Sitting right in front of him.
I mean, what? They were pissed off. And he went on for 50 minutes. 50 minutes after people had been sitting there for 7 hours. And he said, in his defense, when he found out they were angry, he said, well, it's a nuanced argument, and I really needed more time. I was rushed. I needed more time to explain it. He did 50 minutes. Oh, well, you can't, the longer something goes, the more chance there is of something going awry. And I felt for her family sitting there in that front row through that whole damn thing. And, of course, by the end, they would have been touchy, to say the least. But, my God, he's up there talking about his own political agenda and not her. It's like Madonna at the whatever awards, supposedly supposedly extolling Aretha Franklin and doing nothing but talking about herself. Jeez.
Yeah, people get it a little wrong.
Yeah. Bob and Braddock says, hey, Lynn and Susan, are you two planning on buying any Nikes soon? I have always avoided buying Nike. I have never bought Nike.
Nike doesn't fit me, but I'll go and get a shirt or something. You bet.
I think I'll get a shirt. If they have a shirt of the Colin Kaepernick
If they'd make that into a T-shirt,
sure.
I'd buy it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would. And for those who, if anybody doesn't know what it says, why don't I have it here?
I think it says believe in something even if it costs
you everything. That's right. But it's Colin Kaepernick's face. Believe in something even if it costs you everything.
I'm telling you, when I saw that, honestly, it brought tears to my eyes. One, because I was so happy that he had a lucrative contract.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that I wasn't worried about the guy who just lost his livelihood at the age of 30.
Right. So I was thinking too that, well, first of all, correct. It's believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. Yeah, sacrificing everything, and Kaepernick showed up at the U.S. Open this weekend at the match between the two Williams sisters, and it was announced that he was there, and he got a standing ovation.
Yay!
Yeah. All that's got it.
Nike wouldn't do this if they didn't, as someone, I think it was on the Today Show this morning, said, look, Nike's didn't do this without a great deal of market research, and they figure there's a lot more upside than downside, and they're absolutely right.
That's what they figured. Well, we'll find out, but what they're relying on, is that there's more of us than there are of the shoe burners.
Well, and I'm not, and I give them credit for a healthy dose of patriotism too.
Well, I'll tell you what else they've done is they are under contract with the NFL until 2028. And
they could run this during every single game.
Well, they supply all NFL teams with all kinds of apparel and stuff, just tons of stuff. So the NFL has to be really unhappy with this because also over the weekend, I believe, some federal judge said that Kaepernick's case against the NFL, I guess it was an arbitrator or something, can proceed. And Kaepernick's case is about the fact that he is
a cause of action, then it can get to where it's going.
Right. That he
Although I also heard that apparently there's an NFL team currently considering him, and if he gets offered a contract, then that might be evidence that there wasn't collusion, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Anyway, on Friday, what did I want to say? So this there's going to be tension here between now the NFL and Nike. You got to bet that the NFL and the owners are not happy about Kaepernick being the face of this 30-year anniversary campaign.
It was satisfying on so many different levels.
I know. I totally agree. And by the way, the more Kaepernick apparel that does sell, the more he makes. So that is why I'm finally going to end up buying some Kaepernick. It has to be Kaepernick material from Nike. So they're going to do a shoe. They're going to do a T-shirt. And it says here in the New York Times, if the Kaepernick merchandise sells well, the value of the deal will rival those of other top NFL players. So he'll make more than anybody is making from Nike, any other NFL players. Nike is also, according to the contract, donating money to Kaepernick's charity, which is called Know Your Rights. Wow. So that's, So, okay, enough with Aretha's funeral. Let's get to John McCain's. Did you watch all of it?
I watched the whole thing. I was
I cried through. I was crying through.
I cried through the whole thing.
I did too. What were we crying for? Something lost. And that wasn't just John. It wasn't John McCain. It was just something lost.
Yeah.
A sense of a country that we thought we had known, and it just seemed that I don't know. I want to know though how McConnell and Kelly and Bolton and Ryan and Lindsey Graham and all of these guys could sit there and not feel shame. And
they should have.
But they didn't.
But I couldn't believe that Ryan said what he said about, McCain and standing for what he believed in, and that we should all go out in our lives and emulate that. And I'm thinking, yeah, Ryan, we should.
Isn't it amazing? Well, I think it was Charlie Pierce in Esquire, I think, said, this was all produced. Susan, much like your husband, produced his own wondrous funeral. John McCain produced his. And
it's one of the only perks of having enough time before you die and knowing that you're going to die that you get, and that's that you get to have the say in how you get sent off. And you bet he did this just the way my husband did it.
Right. And they both did amazing jobs. So
amazing jobs.
Here's the thing. I think it was Charlie Pierce who said the fact that McCain had, knew he was going to lie in state in the Congress, and that these three men who he battled, Ryan and why am I coming up with three? McConnell. Who's the third? That they would get up and have to show what hypocrites they are by exactly what Ryan did. He had no choice. And he forced them to laud him and what he stood for, and by virtue of doing that, totally show themselves to be the opposite.
That's right.
Brilliant. And
right.
I mean,
and it's like the Obama joke at the funeral when he said, "Don't think that McCain isn't looking down on us, laughing that he's making George and me, say nice things about him in public."
Right. But in fact, mostly, that's not why he chose W and Obama.
No, it isn't.
He did it again to say to the Republicans, it's not all about, winning and losing. I think there's something bigger. And I'm gathering in these two men who I fought tooth and nail. Ugly campaigns. The W. Bush primary campaign was as ugly as they get. And I mean, McCain just brilliantly sort of forced everybody to deal with what has become of us. I wonder what he'd think, though. Supposedly his friend, Lindsey Graham, his dear, dear friend, Lindsey,
is the one that got Ivanka and Jared in there. I wondered what
and
they
is
were
also,
doing there.
he's gone full Trump. I mean, he's just totally gone full Trump. This guy who had nothing but bad things to say about Trump even 18 months ago. I mean, what the hell? So Lindsey Graham. I mean, what is that? I had wanted to believe there was something there, and now he is as vile as Ryan and the rest.
They've lost, apparently, their moral compass, and it was the only thing that was holding them anywhere near where they needed to be. I mean, he's even Graham's even, he was Sessions' biggest defender, and he's turned on that too.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. Just a total turn around. Wow. Well,
and people like us find ourselves in the unenviable position of actually defending Sessions.
Yeah, well, not much, but,
Not much.
he is
but,
vile. He's as vile as they come.
And I'm sorry, I don't even watch Saturday Night Live, but every time I look at him, all I see is
McKinnon.
What's her name?
McKinnon.
Yeah. Kate McKinnon, right.
Oh, my God. Well, so Trump, yesterday, there's the big motorcade waiting to bring him over to New Jersey, I guess, to play in his golf alone. I believe he plays a lot just by himself. I don't think there's any. He is just.
He doesn't have. Who wants to play with him?
Well, Lindsey Graham. I think Lindsey.
What do you think the chances are on a scale of 1 to 10 that he cheats?
Let's see. Are you kidding me? Anyway, he walked out of the White House yesterday and was supposed to get into the car, and he stopped, and he turned around and walked back into the White House. And so they had to put out a thing saying the president's schedule has changed. He is staying at the White House. And he just watched TV all day and tweeted stuff. Now, what I'm thinking is it was hot as holy hell. And maybe he came out and saw how hot it was and said, nah, I don't know. What do you think did it? I mean, it was...
I have no idea.
All right, who cares even?
I mean, I don't know. It's, he didn't feel... Here's what we know. If he didn't want to do it, he doesn't do it. So for whatever reason, he changed his mind.
Yeah. He did. One of his tweets yesterday, when he had decided to forego his golf game, and this one is really amazing. It is just amazing to me. Here it is. 2 long-running Obama-era investigations of 2 very popular Republican congressmen were brought to a well-publicized charge just ahead of the midterms by the Jeff Sessions Justice Department. 2 easy wins now in doubt because there's not enough time. Good job, Jeff. That's the President of the United States. By the way...
Well, that drew a rebuke even from Fox News via Brit Hume, who tweeted back, you know, the AG is not supposed to be the goalie for the president.
Also, as usual, of course, this tweet has lies in it. Duncan Hunter, one of the popular congressmen he's talking about, is charged with insider trading, and that did not happen in the Obama era. It happened in the Trump era. So he wants to tie this to Obama as if the Justice Department is like a Democratic led department.
They haven't ferreted out all of the Obama people yet, and that's why this happened. No, this happened actually quite recently. They got right on this thing.
Right, exactly. They jumped on it. So it's unbelievable. And these two, the 2 congressmen, of course, who are now going to end up in jail, were the first 2 congressmen to endorse the candidacy of Donald Trump during the primary season. So, I mean, crooks just are drawn to each other, right? Every low life.
You like to hang out with people that have the same moral code as you do. It's more comfortable.
Or no moral code. None
That's
at all.
Right. That
None
might be your
at
code.
all. None.
None.
Absolutely.
Oh,
none.
Here's their code. If it's good for me, let's do it.
Yeah, that's it. Everyone for themselves. I remember the bumper sticker I once saw, and I thought, how could someone put that out there on their car, advertising what a despicable human being they are? And it was, I think, he who dies with
The most wins?
The most marbles wins.
Right. Disgusting.
I mean...
I call it the I got mine, fuck you.
What are they thinking? That in death...
He
who died... Yike. Unbelievable.
Yep.
I just want to say that one of the negatives of taking your dog to the dog park, Susan.
Yes. How are you enjoying that dog?
I am. He's a great little dog. He really is.
I'm excited to get to meet him.
Yeah. However, when you go to a dog park, there's other dogs there, which is great. That's the point. But there's also people that come with the dogs. And at one point, all the other people left with their dogs, and I was left with just one woman and a dog. And she engaged me in conversation that made me, just want to run so far, so fast. And I didn't know how to get out of it. She's talking to me about Ancient Aliens, how she watches it all the time. She was like into the most bizarre stuff, and I'm thinking, oh, dear God, get me out of here. Where I just sat there nodding. Instead, I thought, instead of like refuting anything she said, and just panicking, thinking, I got to go. That doesn't happen to you?
I now have an animal that refuses to go to the dog park.
Oh, lucky you.
But I have to say, for the most part, the people that I met at my dog park,
were nice.
I really liked.
Well, yeah,
they were smart and political. I mean, the only real friend that I've made here in the time that I've lived here, because I'm never here, is a woman that I met at the dog park.
Wow.
And so there were a few crazies, but, there were always people to manage to disengage. And Ernie's naughty enough that I could run away.
Oh, you always had to go extract him from situations. Oh, God. Well, that's a whole other... Okay, I have something, guys, to brighten our day. And this comes to me from a little publication in Pittsburgh that is, I guess, the brainchild of a former Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reporter. And she puts out this little newspaper called Print. I don't know. People, it's $1 an issue, and there's a few little things in it here and there. But this is wondrous. It's about the fact that there is a race, a race that you can, like a 5K, this K, there's the great race we do here coming up. There's, all that shit. Anyway, the name of this race, which is happening in near my neighborhood, is called What's the Point 5K. And it turns out it's a 0.5K. What's the 0.5K? And for any of you who are interested, this is not, I believe it's the 16th of September. You still got time to get into this. What's the 0.5K? The subtitle is A Race for the Unfit. It is,
right.
Yeah, it is
a half K.
Yeah, it's a half K. It's a 0.5K, which amounts to 547 yards. So I have never been
able to run half a block.
I know. I have never been I ain't no runner, but here finally a race I can run. And it's the brainchild of a guy named Paul Fireman, who I have never met, but we've emailed back and forth, and he was very helpful when I was doing the Rob Rogers rally. So he was helpful to me with that. And he owns I think he's like an marketer, an advertiser. His firm is called Fireman Creative. And obviously he's very creative, because what's the point K is his.
What's the 0.5K? Right.
What's the 0.5K is his brainchild. He also bought a wonderful old firehouse on Penn Avenue in the East End, and he renovated it, and that's where his offices are. And when I read that the guy who bought the firehouse was named Fireman, I couldn't believe it. So he even has a sense of humor when purchasing real estate. Anyway, back to his 0.5K. I just want, because some of you might really want to join. It's at Westinghouse Park in East Liberty. There will be a water that's North Point Breeze. There will be a water station halfway through the race. There will be a donut station. And there will be also a nap and relaxation station. The main event, the 0.5K, will start at noon so that participants can sleep in instead of these horrible early starts of these other races. And for the more vigorous, there is at 10 a.m. something called a trash dash, which is, an effort to clean up all the bottles and cigarette butts and all the other stuff that's in the park. Participants, it says, will have 2 hours to make it around the course, which generally is about a 6-minute walk, before sweeper trucks start picking them up. Anyway, the website to sign up for the race is www.whatsthepoint5k.com. Again, it's on the 19th, did I say? I don't know. Did I say? Maybe I didn't. So there you have it. Is that not cute?
That is as cute as could be.
It's so friggin' funny. September 16th, Westinghouse Park at noon. Be there or be square. They're going to have a taco truck and all kinds of stuff. They want you to bring your dog and dress in costume.
That said, I had dinner with my grandson on Friday night, and we walked to the restaurant and we were coming back, and I remembering one of my favorite childhood memories, asked my grandson if he knew how to skip, and he said yes, which of course he didn't. He knows how to gallop, but that's a fine point. And I said, you want to skip? So we held hands and we went skipping down the street. And we skipped for 2 blocks, and he said, "Let's run," and he took off. And I'm running after him, and we ran the rest of the way home. And I am here to say that I was so proud of myself that I could skip half the way and run the rest of the way home from the restaurant.
Oh man, see, oh no, jeez. Well, that's what the
I'm also boxing these days.
Oh,
and
you
can
are?
I say that is
the most horrendous workout
fun.
Ever. Yeah, I know.
It's a good workout. Time flies by, and I have more fun punching the crap out of something. I must have a lot of pent-up aggression.
Yeah, I bet you do.
It feels wonderful.
Great, go for it. I had a trainer who tried to get me into boxing, and no, it was the most exhausting thing I've ever. Not for me. Not for me.
Oh God, it's fun, and now we're doing knees and kicks and oh God, it's fun.
Geez, you're going to end up going into like extreme. You'll be in a cage match pretty soon.
I know. I'm starting to walk later and later at night as bait.
Oh, for Christ's sake, honest to Pete. I think we maybe even have a call that's been waiting impatiently for some time.
Impatiently? Okay, go.
Okay. Hello?
Hello, Lynn.
Yeah. Geez, you sound as bad as Susan and me.
I responded to that Ancient Aliens thing. Now, in the past I defended that.
Oh, you're right. Oh, God, I don't mean to open up an old wound
now
there.
I've watched it enough and researched it enough. Now I think they're full of shit, too.
They are.
So I just wanted to tell you.
Well, thank you.
As of the Christians, I think are full of shit, too. So I pretty much think most people
are full of shit.
So.
Well,
Right.
and a happy day to you, too. I just thank you very much.
Entertainment, That's all it is. It's full of shit. Like
That's
the rest of
right.
stuff in this world.
Everything's full of shit.
I'm sorry,
Goodbye.
but I'm proud of
Bye.
you for ferreting out the truth.
That's right.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Poor miserable soul. Aw. Okay, here's
Yeah, here's the rule: the more you want to believe in it, the less it appears to be true.
yeah. Russ writes, just logged on and not sure you covered this, but have you seen the new ad for Lou Barletta? Susan, that's a congressman who's running for the U.S. Senate against
So no, I haven't.
Casey. Yeah, no, we have not. His motto is kids before Congress. I almost spit out my drink. This POS, I believe that stands for piece of shit, this POS that backed Republicans who want to do away with CHIP and public schools, the basis of the ad is to get more guns in schools. I know. So he says kids before Congress. I saw an ad. I did see an ad in which he's saying, you know, us people in Congress, we people in Congress have security, we got, all these, we got metal detectors, we got blah, blah, blah. And his big stance is he wants to take all those metal detectors and all those security people and give the kids in schools the kind of security that they have in Congress. That's his, he thinks that's a winning proposition. Oh, no. God almighty.
Well, you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. But back on my days in the school board, if you think we didn't have security experts, I mean, I was sitting on a school board, president of the school board, when Columbine happened. And if you don't think that we didn't have experts from all over come to us and go through every possible thing, and the end of the story is always, you can't make sure that someone with a gun doesn't get in your school. You can lock every door. You can, no one's going to have enough metal detectors to put on every door. That's not the way it works. You put them in the main entrances, and then you restrict to those things. But all it takes is one kid walking by a locked door from the outside and a kid that he recognizes going, hey, I'm locked out here, let me in. The kid lets him in, and that's your shooter.
Mm. Well, people have this sense that they're supposed to be...
If somebody wants to shoot up a school, they're going to shoot up a school.
Right.
That's not the solution. The security is not the end-all and the be-all. Getting rid of the ability to do it is the only thing that'll work.
Well, but here's another thing. You cannot safeguard every target, every human. You cannot. I mean, my God, the sense that we're all supposed to be safe.
To have to.
No, but life happens. Yeah, in regard to the shootings and stuff, this is something we've brought on ourselves. There's no doubt about that. But I'm just saying, this idea that there's some ultimate security that can be had is just ridiculous. Sorry. Life is not secure. There is no way to secure it.
Well, and here's the other thing. They just came out at a totally different way of looking at the security question. But they just came out with a new recommendation that your kids should be in a car seat until like they're 400. That and it used to be, it's really until they're like 10 at this point.
Like a kid will do that.
The new recommendation, and that's just I'm
ridiculous.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Hey, we're all here, and we didn't have no car seats, and we didn't have no airbags. Okay.
No, if you want to keep children safe, give them health insurance, for crying out loud.
Here. Okay, Roger writes, 2 cool bumper stickers I saw this weekend. 1, my dinosaur ate your Jesus fish. All right. And 2, science flies us to the moon. Religion flies us into buildings. Ooh.
There you go.
Ooh. And then Roger says, I haven't bought Nike in over 20 years. That's changing soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Let's pitch in. I have absolutely. I have felt that Kaepernick has shouldered this battle and taken on, a challenge that I mean, I'm sure it's what in some ways he hoped would happen, that it would get this much, response, but not the way it necessarily got it. But what an important thing he has done to point out what respectful protest looks like, to point out our intolerance for making this country better, for trying to make this country better. What better thing to do is to go out and take a T-shirt that has a face that looks like America on it. I can't think of I think he's wonderful.
I do too.
Don't know a thing about him except
No,
what
I think
done.
he's wonderful too, and obviously a very courageous man. And he's lost everything he worked for in that. He worked to be an NFL quarterback, and it was taken away from him by the cowards that own teams in this country, because they're afraid that obviously if you have him on your team, a whole bunch of ticket holders won't show up. Jesus. Okay, so God Almighty.
Well, and you don't own. I'd like to tell these owners that doesn't mean that they own these men.
Right, and since most of them are black, it's a lot like sort of,
It summons up some really nasty images.
Yeah, it do. I know that's not right. It does. Correct. So John Kerry, remember him? I saw him at the funeral.
Yeah, God, I don't want him to run for president.
I know. Apparently he's not ruling it out, and I'm thinking, okay, fine, John. You don't have to rule it out. We'll rule it out. Okay? Jesus H. Are you kidding me? So he's got a book out, and here's this wonderful review of it in the New York Times. It essentially says, it is really bland. The book, bland. And it says, it reminds you why Kerry would probably have made a very good president. It also reminds you why he lost.
Right, why he can't get elected.
No, because bland, that's what Democrats are forever doing. They nominate these conscientious, sober, boring, serious people who really believe in government and want to get their hands on the levers of power so they can do it and improve the country, and all with the greatest intention. But they make lousy candidates, so you can't win. And I think Democrats have finally figured out you need competent and charismatic. And and that's what you had with, frankly, Barack Obama, quite clearly.
Or J.F. Kennedy, yeah.
And maybe Bill Clinton.
Oh, I'm Bill Clinton. No, maybe about it. Anybody that saw him in person could feel the magnetic pull.
Yes, right. So that's the way you got to go. And, Hillary and Kerry and Gore and Dukakis, these are all competent, good people who can't win. I've said this a million times on this program. One of the few things, how you hardly remember anything from your entire schooling. There's just a few facts and things that stick in your head. And in a political science class I took at the University of Wisconsin, I remember this. I remember that Professor Adamany, and why would I remember him? Professor Adamany said, the very characteristics required to make somebody a great president are the very characteristic that make him a lousy candidate. And that the two require being a successful candidate and being a successful president require a totally different skills. And very few people possess both. And, you know...
Well, it requires a certain amount of narcissism to put yourself in that position in the first place. And that narcissism run amok is what is the undoing of so many of these men.
Well, maybe, but I mean, I just think, you know, you have to be a salesman, essentially. You got to be a salesman. And you might be great at the job, but you can't get the job if you can't sell yourself.
If you can't sell your vision.
Right. Oh, boy. So...
But it's true. And if you're a bland guy that can't get people to listen to you beyond 10 words, it's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. You know, Carrie, you do better being what he ended up being, Secretary of State. I mean, you know, you do better doing that kind of work. Buckle down and do that. Anyway, I think we will end today's program with this from the science section of the New York Times today. Should I flush it? Is the headline.
The answer to most things except what comes out of your body is no.
That's absolutely right. That's essentially what it says. No.
Unless you've been eating cocaine packets. Yeah, I'm not sure you should flush those either.
Oh, dear God. So all these things that people put into wastewater, and they're all wrong. Don't stop doing it. The only thing that belongs in the wastewater is waste, natural waste, and toilet paper. That's it, because that biodegrades very quickly. Guess what doesn't? Disposable wipes that say that they biodegrade.
That they're flushable. That means they'll go down, but they won't go away.
They won't go away. They've got rayon in them. They've got other materials in them. And they have a guy saying, we're seeing rayon accumulating in our oceans. So stop it. There's a thing called a wastebasket. A wastebasket. That's where the disposable wipes belong. That's where dental floss belongs. Dental floss causes a bunch of trouble. I mean, have you ever had like a string or something in your vacuum? You know, how it can it can knot up the gears. It can collect. So contact lenses, disposable contact lenses, they're plastic. They don't break down. They end up killing a fish. Put it in the wastebasket. Don't put your medications ever in the toilet because somebody else ends up drinking them.
Or your 4-year-old will have breasts. Stop that.
Your 4-year-old will have breasts. Kitty litter. Never. Even flushable kitty litter. What is the whole idea of kitty litter? It attract and it expands essentially. You put that down a toilet.
Oh, and this just not because it doesn't biodegrade, but it will surely clog eggshells.
Yeah, right.
No eggshells go down your garbage disposal. They just turn to basically cement and load your pipes. So just throw those puppies out too.
Oh, really? Eggshells? Well, that I didn't know. Speaking of eggshells, I had the most amazing thing happen. Oh, and we're out of time, but listen to this. Also, I can't believe they say tampons should not be flushed. I'm well beyond tampons, but I would not have been happy to see that when I was still using them.
Right.
They say don't do it. Okay, so Here's the other thing. I put some eggs on to boil in my house this weekend, thinking I was going to make, I wanted hard-boiled eggs. And then I went.
Forget about them.
Yes, I did.
And did they explode everywhere?
Yes. The most amazing explosion. I mean, I thought the house had blown up. I jumped 20 feet in the air. So did the dog. We were like, wah, wah. I ran it. Susan, I'm still finding eggs. I find
everywhere.
Eggs on the ceiling.
Did you
eggs
look on your ceiling?
Yeah, they're everywhere. It was the most amazing blow up what an extraordinary explosion. I recommend it just for fun if you know, if you're
Well, clearly I only ask the right questions because
you've done it
to me.
God,
that's the worst when you put on hard-boiled eggs to boil and you just totally forget about it.
Yeah, you completely forget. Until boom! It was unbelievable what the sound. It was really, I thought, unbelievable.
What
Okay.
a great science experiment. Okay, right.
Okay, so that's it, and we are out of time. Susan, thank you.
Okay, see you soon. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Bye. And you guys, thank you, too. Stay cool. Jeez. And see you tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.